All right, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Nerds Drink Whiskey. For those of you locally based, you may have seen on Facebook we had a public event where we were going to go to Cigar Daddies in Lacey, Washington on Lacey Boulevard. But that actually had to get canceled. It was from the Liquor Control Board, and I think we can safely say that we want to definitely be in line with what they say, because we do have future events. We want to make sure we're in good terms with them, but I think they had a problem with it, and so I guess it's my fault that it was promoted on Facebook, posted on Facebook.
Yeah, so once it went out on Facebook, it looked like we were inviting the public, and that it was a public whiskey tasting, which at our shop we don't have the license to do.
Right.
And so now, since it's after hours, it's a private event with just the three of us. We're able to sit here and enjoy a cigar and sample some whiskeys.
Right, and just to be clear, in case any of them are watching, which they probably are, people were gonna the cigars. They could have bought the cigars, and we wanted it to kind of encourage sales for you guys. But we're not rich. We're not sponsored, so we were not. It was actually people were gonna watch us drink whiskey, but the cigars is what the public.
That sounds riveting.
Yes. Yeah, watch us. But we had people who were excited to come here and check out the show and do it live in a nice venue like this. So we are talking. We can't give any details yet because nothing's solid. But we're going to be working with the fine folks at Cigar Daddies to do a public event, not at Cigar Daddies, possibly with one of the amazing local watering holes we have that have a liquor license and are licensed to allow people to buy whiskey and drink whiskey with us. So which should actually in the long run be better, because like you said, watching people drink whiskey is not as exciting as actually sampling it yourself.
No, what's fun is we've actually been able to do a couple of local events with some restaurants and bars around town. We've done some whiskey nights and cigar nights at Charlie's, at O'Blarney's, at Pints and Courts, Pints Barn, Ricardo's down the street, and really had a great time and good turnout. So I think it'd be fun to organize another one of those.
Clash the two, and maybe like a late summer, early fall.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shoot for, so.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, now.
So today I thought we'd check out the San Cristobal Revelation. This is a cigar that's kind of near and dear to my heart. It's made by a guy named Don Pepin down at the My Father factory in Esteli, Nicaragua. And Don Pepin exiled from Cuba probably maybe around 15 or 16 years ago now, and started up the My Father factory. This is a cigar that he blended for the fine folks at Ashton. It's all Nicaraguan filler and binder, and then the outside, and you can kind of see, and I don't know if the camera can pick this up, but it's a really nice, almost kind of milk chocolate wrapper, and it's an Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper. But when you check and you kind of smell the foot, and we always say with cigars, if you smell barnyard, you know you're in for a good time. But you kind of get a little bit of that grassy little hay note, and so.
Yeah, this definitely reminds me of, when I go ride a horse, that's the feel.
That's the smell, yeah. And so I'm going to do a straight cut. I'm going to let you guys try this V-cut, and this is a new cutter from Colibri. And what this does is it actually leaves your cap intact. I'll cut this for you. And it gives you a nice full draw, but it gives you just a notch in the top of the cigar.
Okay, so this is the area that
That's where you're going to smoke.
Okay.
And you can actually do a pre-light draw. So go ahead and puff on that before we light it up. And you can see how the cigar draws, and you'll get some different flavors than when you actually fire it up. What I notice a lot on the cigar when I fire it up is a lot of leather, a little bit of earthiness, goes into kind of some cedar undertones, but really a nice kind of medium-bodied cigar. Now what we'll do first is just lightly toast this foot. And I'm going to blow on it to just kind of cool it down. And we always make sure that we use either a butane, not propane. You don't want to use a propane lighter. Go ahead and take a couple puffs and we'll finish lighting
Now,
that.
this is my first cigar puff ever, so I'm a total noob. So
all right, we're popping your cherry. It's going to be good. Now, the biggest thing with cigars is you don't want to inhale.
Yeah.
Pretty
You should have
smooth,
said
huh?
that first.
I should have said that first.
Yeah, you use your cheeks.
So
you
we'll
don't
do
use your lungs.
a couple puffs. Just kind of lightly toast this for you. But as I was saying, you want to use either a butane lighter, because the butane is going to be 99.9% pure. Perfect. So you don't get any aftertaste. Like if you use a Zippo lighter, all you're going to taste is Zippo fuel. Or you want to use cedar matches that are sulfur free. Do we get you all the way out there?
So how do I breathe? How do I do this without?
Without inhaling.
Pretend it's a straw of soda. Pop. Pretend you're drinking soda.
Okay.
That's probably the best analogy I've heard. That's good. Yeah.
So you're not gonna. None of it's supposed to be in your lungs. Use your cheeks to kind of draw the smoke through, and you're gonna want to. It's as slow as possible. Draw in the smoke. So you want cool smoke. You're not burning your mouth. And how's your mine's not?
You need a little more?
Yeah, it's not evenly lit. And you want a nice even kind of flame all around the top.
I am completely out of my element here, learning as fast as I can.
It's all right. Initiation by fire. So it'll be good. But the nice, cigars pair perfectly, I think, with any spirits, especially whiskey. I didn't want to go with anything that's super heavy. I think most of the stuff we're sampling today. Are we doing any scotches?
Yes.
Okay.
And one of the future episodes. In the next couple weeks.
So today, with some of the stuff we're doing, I didn't want to go with anything that was too overpowering. We need finish line there. And that's why I chose this San Cristobal Revelation. And these actually got a 92 rating from Cigar Aficionado, so they're high rated as well.
I'm still not.
I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm trying as best.
You're looking good. That's all that matters.
Perfect. There we go.
So, and typically with a cigar, you'll rate it in thirds. And cigars will typically change within each third. So you'll have your first third, your second third, and your final. And you know, if you want, you can take notes. What I did when I first started smoking cigars is cigars that I really liked. I just bought a cheap little notebook, and I would tape the bands in there, and I would write notes like, hey, I thought this was really great, or I drank this with this. And then when I would go back to my local cigar shop like Cigar Daddies, I would be able to come in with my notebook and say, hey, this is what I tried. I really liked it. What do you have that's like this or similar? And then that's how I just kept smoking and trying new things. And that's the fun thing with cigars is there's always new stuff to try.
And so Mark is being there are three elements to a cigar. There's the wrapper, which you see, which is the nice finished outer leaf. A lot of leaves don't look that nice. So what there is there's underneath the wrapper is called the binder. And that's two other leaves, usually, that aren't quite as pretty, and those wrap around the filler. And so when you get a really fat cigar, there's a lot more filler, and then there's the binder around it, and then the wrapper. The ratio, and you can get different tobaccos for each of those. And so those ratios will change the flavors, and the different kinds of tobacco will mean different, how the taste of the cigar is.
Okay.
Yeah, and the growing seasons, I mean, tobacco is a lot like wine grapes. The growing seasons, when it was grown, how it was grown, what the temperature was like, will greatly affect the taste of the tobacco, as well as how it's aged. Tobacco is typically aged and fermented for a very long time before it ever gets into your hand, when it comes to a cigar. So I say we drink.
Yeah.
Am I doing this at all right?
You're doing great. You haven't thrown up yet, so you're doing fine.
Like I said, as long as it doesn't make it into your lungs, yeah, you're probably doing fine. With these, do you know puffs per minute we're looking at?
Typically they say if you want to do maybe 2 puffs every 60 seconds, you're fine.
Okay.
Yeah, but whatever you're comfortable with. I mean, that's the cool thing with cigars or with whiskey. I mean, do it how you're comfortable, how you enjoy it, and smoke what you like or drink what you like.
Okay. So tonight we're drinking Barrel Hitch. This is another one by Eastside Distilling. They do our favorite Burnside bourbon. I was down in Oregon recently, and they've got this and a couple others. This is their American whiskey that they then age for 30 days in an oak barrel after it. So there's another one that's also Barrel Hitch, but it's the un-oak barrel aged one. I went with the oak. And
You said it's aged how long?
it's aged the normal, it's 18 months, and then it's 30 more days in a different cask. And
Okay, so it is a bourbon.
Maybe. They don't call it a bourbon.
Oh.
So it might not have enough corn in it to be a bourbon.
Okay.
So
Yeah. All right.
amount.
There you are. And that's the one thing, with talking, sometimes you will have to relight.
Now, I don't know if you've had a chance to watch any of the episodes, but
I have not, unfortunately.
okay. So this one is made by, like he said, Burnside Bourbon, which was our very first episode, and has actually stood as one of our top favorite bourbons that we've tried.
Nice.
So the first bourbon, as we started the show, we didn't really know each other before we started the show, and my wife's best friend actually is who introduced us and said, "Oh yeah, you'd be great for it." And,
oh, cool.
And, so the first one he sent was actually has become one of my favorites, and so this is made by the same distillery as one of our favorites.
Yeah.
So
Someday we're gonna go visit them, and
someday that's going to be one of the as we get probably more mobile equipment and and all that. Probably this summer, I think we should start invading some of them. But yeah.
Have you guys ever checked out Whiskey Fest down in Portland?
we not. We did the South Sound Spirits Gathering recently.
And we're hoping to
That
do
was
proof,
cool.
And we're hoping to do proof in Seattle.
Right.
Oh, you were
nice.
at the.
We were at the South Sound
yeah.
Spirit Festival. That was really, that was a great time. And for their first event, they did a heck of a job.
Yes.
That was really well done.
Well, these are the same people that do proof, so they kind of have already done a successful event. They just wanted to expand into Thurston County.
Okay, neat.
So,
I haven't
yeah.
been to proof.
Yeah, we're hoping to go. We haven't gotten official clearance yet, but we're hoping anybody from Proof watching, we'd like official clearance to invade. Ask around. I think we did a great job last time. So,
That's fun.
Yeah.
All right, so Mark, what do you think of the whiskey?
Hey, I think I took a decent drag of the cigar without getting it in my lungs.
That's good. You're learning.
I think I'm learning,
Yeah.
Professor.
That's good.
God, what is up with Heritage? They knock it out of the park, don't they?
East Side.
East Side. Oh no, that's right. Heritage is the other. Yeah. East Side Distillery. Yeah, it's got a real sweet on the tongue at first.
Yeah. Now these guys, I'm almost sad that I didn't buy their other, the un-oak barrel aged, just because then I'd have more of their stuff. But yeah, no, this stuff's good.
Yeah, it reminds me of a bourbon, but it's not with that sweetness.
Yeah.
And you can swish it around your tongue without it having kind of that mouthwash feel, like a lot of the cheaper whiskeys do.
What did you guys say the price point was on that?
Locally, I'm not sure, but I paid around just under 30 down in
Wow.
Oregon. So yeah, this was a $27, $28 bottle.
It's a great price.
Yeah.
But that's in Oregon.
That's in
without
Oregon,
the
right.
Yeah,
so-
no import tax or no tax and no distributor markups and that kind of stuff. Or that's fewer than we have in Washington.
So probably twice that here.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can even get it.
Right. Okay.
Now, one thing that even with the whiskey, we're several episodes in. This is going to be the, I think, 43rd episode of the podcast.
Wow.
And one thing that I've yet to really get into is the notes. A lot of times, a lot of people will read a lot more notes into a whiskey than I actually notice. So what do you think is the best way to recognize the notes of a cigar compared to recognizing the notes in a whiskey?
Yeah, the thing is, if you can retrohale through your nostrils, you're going to get a completely different taste than if we're just doing what we're doing now, where you're just kind of smoking, and the best way to say it, I guess, is swirling the smoke around in your mouth and exhaling. You'll get a much fuller bodied experience. I've been smoking for over 16 years. I still can't do that. I've never been able to, which drives me nuts.
So that's for the advanced cigar smoker.
Well, and
I hear if you're
I have a deviated septum, and so I've never been able to do it. And I laugh. My sister, her and I are 10 years apart. We have the same birthday. And the first cigar I gave her for her 21st birthday, she took a puff, and she immediately blew the smoke through her nose. And I was so jealous And Chance, my business partner, his wife, we were down at IPCPR in Las Vegas for our first show before we opened the shop maybe like 5 years ago. And Stacy never smoked cigars. Chance and I would hang out in his garage and smoke cigars every night, actually around this table. And first puff of her cigar, she brilliantly exhaled through her nose. And Chance and I, who neither one of us can do it, we're just, but.
All right, so do we have any final, so we can wrap this episode up and go to the next one? Any final words on this whiskey?
I'd buy it.
I highly recommend it.
Yeah, that's very tasty.
Yeah, this is an excellent whiskey. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think you can go wrong with Eastside.
Yeah,
that being said, there were a number of selections from Eastside. This was their other whiskey. They had a couple of fruit type things and non-whiskeys, which, as being very different, who knows how they are, but maybe we'll get around to trying them someday. I don't know about it on the show, but
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So, Eastside, cheers, man. What is?
Yeah,
you got
well
some
done.
Secrets. Well done. So, see you next week. We're going to be continuing with the same cigars. We'll all be wearing the same shirts, but
I can
we're just gonna
change.
Sit here. We're going to sit here for a week, and
Yeah, we'll see you
We'll see you next week. Later.